This is a poem called The Wall. This is not that. You are not me. The river is not the field. The beach is not the sea. The world is filled with walls. Some are made of stone, some of brick, some are very thin, and some are 10 feet thick. They help us know what's what. They made it clear what's yours and what's mine. Walls are part of nature. They've existed for all time. Me behind my wall and you behind yours. That's the way it is, my friend. There's no point in having doors. We are not the same. So why should we pretend you're not a good neighbor? You're not even a friend. Poets say we're all connected, but I know that isn't true. We've got this wall between us, so I don't have to see you. Every stone makes me feel safe. The barbed wire makes me feel secure. I know it keeps you away from me. The wall is what keeps me pure. So don't be troubled when I build this wall, and when the stones reach up to the sky. It's only natural. We should be apart. It's just the way it is between you and I.
You cannot understand how human beings work on this planet if you don't include an understanding of the psychology that drives them as individuals, as families, as groups, as societies, as nations. People are acting out, are behaving according to the kind of programming they've had. Are behaving according to the kind of programming they've had. Are behaving according to the kind of programming they've had. If a nation or a group isn't able to hold the trauma and take responsibility for their emotional response to that trauma, then it will be visited out on the other. Others will be blamed. An experience of trauma that has involved helplessness, fear, or horror. Now that might be witnessing violence perpetrated on somebody else. It might be experiencing a life-threatening event. Society acting out unprocessed trauma at the societal level. Society acting unprocessed trauma at the societal level. We know it in families. If you have a dysfunctional parent in a family, that family is dysfunctional. If you have a dysfunctional family in a neighborhood, you'll find that the neighborhood struggles with dysfunction. The neighborhood struggles with dysfunction. Things start going wrong. They can't work together. People are acting out. And it works on up. So if you have individuals or individual social groups, large or small, who are holding on to unprocessed trauma in particular, which may go back literally thousands of years. It really is not difficult to put two and two together and see that these things have been laid down, patterns laid down over a very long period. People who are profoundly dysfunctional in adult life and acting out that distress by imposing it on others, acting out, almost always find that there has been a history of abuse. Each side sees itself as the victim, the other is the aggressor, the other is the abuser, and therefore anything is justified. Then violence and killing and all the rest of it, and building buildings, wanting to drive a population into the sea or whatever, all of it is okay because it's not my fault, it's their fault. Because it's not my fault, it's their fault. What groups can do is they can accuse others of the behaviour that they are unable to recognise in themselves. This comes back to being a victim. And nations who consider themselves to be victims of history, very often act out their victim on others. Very often find that people who are most dysfunctional in the social sense, as individuals, see themselves as being abused by others, as victims of society, victims of the neighbours, victims whatever, which legitimises their bad behaviour. Ethnic groups sit on trauma almost to the roots of time. What happens is that when people are sitting on that trauma, they will act it out and visit it and behave in ways. We have to be allowed to criticise, in individual relationships, in social development. There has to be a space for legitimate criticism, and a kind of an emotional debate response. You can't do that to me because I'm a victim is not helpful. And this comes back to trauma. Violent suppression of another person's identity never works. And we know that from history. Violent suppression, individual psychological process in families. Parents who suppress a child, there will be payback. That child will break down, will be dysfunctional, will act out, will become a criminal. We know it from nations. When a nation is suppressed, our identity is of critical importance to each of us, and each of us construct our identity differently. Group identity, national identity is tremendously important, and it goes right to my soul. It's where my soul is taken away. If I'm denied my individual or group or national identity, and somebody tries to tell me that I'm somebody who I know I'm not in my soul will rebel. Either it will rebel, or it will break down, or it will collapse, or it'll fight. Or it'll fight. Either it will rebel, or if you look at the rationalization that terrorists make for their use of extreme violence to bring about political change, their level of traumatization in the society that they represent, or in the as individuals, is so strong that they are numbed to the emotional distress of the people on whom they are visiting the violence. But at some level, they're acting out the trauma of a group that cannot be heard except through the application of extreme violence. If you think of smashing a telephone box by a young hooligan smashing windows, graffiti, as a cry to be heard, I know it's a cliche, but I think it's true. Terrorism is also a cry to be heard. Terrorism is also a cry to be heard. A traumatized individual saying, I'm hurting here. A traumatized society, group, ethnic group, or community saying, we're really hurting here. We need to be taken seriously. Traumatized society or group, ethnic group or community saying, we're really hurting here. We need to be taken seriously.